I grew up in a rural part of Michigan, and my experience was just something that was very challenging, very difficult for me. I came from a household that's been broken multiple times. My mom has been married 5 times, divorced 5 times. By the time she married my dad, he had just returned from the war in Vietnam and had myself and my younger sister. And that upbringing, that experience was just a lot of yelling, screaming, some abuse, and plenty of drinking. They were married for a few years, and there was a bitter custody battle and child support issue that went on between them. And eventually my dad just gave up, and he said he couldn't take it anymore, and he left, and I didn't see him again. So during that time of my mom was raising us, she met another man. After that relationship failed, she elected to move us from Michigan to Iowa. And so we uprooted our family, left behind all my friends, and relocated to Iowa to be around other relatives. We thought that would be better. But in fact, it was not. It was actually the most traumatic part of my childhood. She had met another man who was a very violent person. He had an arrest record. He had problems with guns. He was also an alcoholic, and he was also very abusive. So when he was finally arrested and jailed for his actions, my mom at that point decided, I think we should go back to Michigan and start over. And that's where I drew the line. I said, Mom, I can't do that. I said, I can't stay on this crazy path anymore. And through a lot of tears and conversation, we agreed to part ways. And she went on, and I was left behind on my own. At first, I thought that was, a good thing, but I missed her, and I missed, some of the positive experiences that we had. She wasn't a terrible person, and I loved her, and I still love her to this day. But she was gone, and I felt very alone, scared. So it was a very hard time being away from her. So from there, I was actually playing music as one of the things that kind of kept me stabilized and focused and kept me out of trouble, essentially. And I had a band at the time there in Iowa, and we finished high school, and we decided to pursue things and move from small town Iowa to Hollywood, California. We moved out there, we struggled, starving musicians on the street, we recorded an album, we toured around the country. But all good things come to an end. We got tired of being broke and starving, and so the band disbanded after about 3 years. And I decided to go back to Michigan to kind of rediscover what it is I needed to do with my life. So again, I was there with my mom, and all the memories came flooding back. The same situation, the same kind of chaos. And amidst that chaos, I heard God's voice saying, go find your dad. Go meet him. It's been 15 years. And I was scared, and I was nervous, and I didn't know what to expect, but I drove 1,500 miles from Michigan to Florida. I remember pulling up into the parking lot of this place where he worked, and he came out, and just seeing him, he's like a mirror image of me is what I hear. It brought a tear to my eye. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is him. And he has a big booming voice, and he's like, Dustin, welcome, I'm like, oh my God. And he hugged me so tight. And that was just such an amazing experience, just to be in his presence and to feel his warmth and love. And I'd heard terrible things about him, and I experienced some terrible things about him. But it was a moment of reconciliation, of just love, and again, just God being there for us. And we talked about all the bad things, and despite those bad things, how things are turning out okay. Things will be all right. After our time together, and I shared with him, I still felt that God was calling me back to where I was before, and that was California. I ended up staying with a relative that I never met before, and he put me up and took care of me for at least a few months till I could get on my feet. From that point, I actually moved in with another man who is someone who really got me thinking about the Lord. Although he was a non-believer at the time, he got my wheels turning, thinking about, well, what is God doing in my life, and just learning more about him. At the same time, I met a beautiful woman, or I started dating her at least. Her name is Tammy, and Tammy is the person that I really credit for bringing some normalcy to my life, introducing me to the Lord. Her family, although she came also from a broken home, they really exemplified for me what it was like to live a Christian life. So as we moved along, our dating increased. So in 1996, we were married. Shortly after that, God blessed us with our first child, Alyssa, in 1998. And then 2 years after that, Evan and Owen, my twin boys, were born in 2001. Now, so as I reflect back on my life events, I just think to myself, God, why? Why did I have to experience these terrible things and this pain and suffering? But it's become more clear than ever before that this is who I am, and God had a plan for me. And I've learned to appreciate what I've gone through, and the outcome has been amazing. A wife of 10 years, 3 beautiful children, a home, a church community, just all these blessings that I'd never dreamed possible as I was growing up. I'm so thankful for what He's done for me. And although there may be other challenging times in my future, I know through my optimism and my hope and my faith in the Lord that things will be okay.